Hi guys, it's Emily from Noble Novels and welcome to today's video. This is my reading catch-up, November week 1. Less reading. Reading less. I can't remember exactly how I'm going to word it, but you know me. Because I have. I've only read 6 books this week so far. It's a lot less than normal, but there are reasons behind that, which obviously I'll go into at the end. I will sort of go into it. It's been one of those start of November. November is going to be a bit of a busy month. Obviously, in a week from today, I'll be in Bristol and Bath with my lovely best friends, and I cannot flipping wait. But maybe life needs to take a bit of a pause for me at the moment. I need to stop putting so much pressure on myself. So, I'm currently reading More Than Nothing by Sophie Hamilton, which is a tandem book. I'm not adding paid product for him because I've not been paid to do this, but it is an ad PR product. It's a tandem read along. I'm bloody loving it. It's a saucy romance set in America. Sexy lead police chief Roman and a lovely character called Eleni who's been knocked down. But I will obviously be, all my stuff for this book is done on Instagram, so please check out my Instagram stuff because I'm doing lots of work on there for it. Really loving it. But what I wanted to share with you is that there is a little bit at the start of this book. The author's written a little, the dedication thing some authors write at the start, and it says, "For anyone who's ever been made to feel less than, you're endlessly and uniquely more than." And as you all know, because of stuff that's happened, I feel less than quite a lot. I don't feel like, due to chronic health, due to the way I've been bullied, I very often feel like I'm a less than. I'm an emotional one today, so please bear with me. I had a bit of a high yesterday and I'm having a bit of a downer. Not a downer, just need to be a bit more self-care today. But yeah, that quote just really got to me, and the author's absolutely lovely, and I'm buying all of her books. It's very much a saucy romance, but it really does talk about believing that you're more than you've been told. So last night I started Kieran Mulcahy's book, The Shadow of the Wolf Queen. It's a fantasy. It's the start of a series which has been going on for quite a while. I've got the second book. The third book's not due out in paper for a little bit, but it's fantasy. It's Kieran Mulcahy. There is great pictures that she does in it, which I absolutely, you know me, I've got to think about the pictures and just like each chapter and stuff. It's more chapter starts that are really, really good, and it's a great fantasy already. I don't know very much yet because I've only just started it, but it's a brilliant, brilliant book, and yes, got real potential. So my 4-star, I've got 3 4 stars, 1 4.5 star and 2 5 stars, which is a pretty good way to start the month. My 4.5 star is a book that, my 4-star, first of 4 stars, is a book that I finished literally on Halloween, and this is The Surplus Girls by Polly Herron. It's a historically fiction set in Manchester in 1922, and she decides, this is about Molly Watson, who decides that rather than being a surplus girl, which is what the girls were called because a lot of girls are left over after the Second World War, because a lot of people, First World War, because a lot of people died, a lot of their men died, and she decided she wants to be more than that. She wants to do something with her life and be more than just a wife or a partner, and she strives to learn new skills, and she starts working at St Anthony's Orphanage, where she meets the befriends caretaker Aaron Abrahams. But it's really quite a good historical fiction book. Average 4 stars. Give it to Mum. It wasn't amazing, but it was quite a good one. It did actually keep me quite hooked. And I've read some quite long books, which I think is another reason why, obviously, I've just been busy, really, really busy. I started the month with The Housekeepers by Alex Hay, and it's 4 stars, and I'm sorry, Katie. I wanted it to be more, but my head is not in the right space for... It's like a mystery. I would think it's like a historical fiction mystery. I count it as historical fiction. And it's all talking about that upstairs, Madam is planning the party of the season. Downstairs, the servants are plotting the heist of the century. And it is a good book, but it's very long, and I just didn't connect with it as much as at the start as I wanted it to. Once it got exciting, it did get very, very good. And there were lots of, the servants are the ones that are really exciting, and the Law Housekeeper, everything must be perfect. With the chandeliers gleaming and stellar stock, the Law Housekeeper, Mrs. King, is suddenly dismissed. As the clock strikes 12 on the night of the ball, Mrs. King will return to strip the house of its riches, right under the nose of her former employee. And if you get the gist of it, it is a good historical fiction mystery. Just didn't connect with it quite as much as I wanted it to. That's just me. That's just the way I'm feeling. Then to another 4-star book, which is, I'm gutted, it's the third in the trilogy, and it's Hex and Hexability by Kate Johnson. It is a witchy book, but it's historical fiction witchy book set in the Regency era. And I didn't get the connections to the other books of the series till right at the end, which is probably the point of it. They're very much more, these Hex books are more standalones than series, I would think. Do you want to see what witches can do? Lady Tiffany Worthington has always had a special talent for making the world around her come to life, whether she wants it to or not. But it's only with the arrival of her mysterious great aunt Esme on the eve of the Battle of Waterloo, that she learns she's a witch, and that magic she has long feared is actually a gift that needs to be embraced. And it just took me a lot longer to connect with this. I am going to keep it, because it's the third in the series, and I think maybe if I'm in a better headspace, I might be able to enjoy it a bit more. But it's got like the sexy pirate, and it's got a lot of sauciness in it. And we start off with the sauciness because there's this pirate called San Diego, and there is a lot of friendships. It's got a real few good, really, really good twists. And Tiffany is a good character, and it is a good book. I just didn't quite love it as much as I loved the other books in the series. Now to my 4.5-star book. This is, by the way, this video is going to be short unless I do a lot of chatty bit. And this is The Girl's Guide to Winning the War by Annie Lyons. This is pretty darn incredible. I really, really enjoyed the other book by this author, The Girl's Guide to Winning the War. And this one is pretty much, it knocked it out of the park for me. This one really, really is good. Yes, it's historical fiction. Yes, it's a wartime book. It's set in London in 1940. But it really sort of breaks the norms because it talks about how strong the women were fighting in the war, and it was a girl's guide to winning the war, and it talks about that is the focus, and I think that was really, really positive. It done so well. It talks about librarian Peggy Sparks, who's approached to work at the heart of the war effort in the Ministry of Information, and she jumps at the chance. She's determined to see her brother Joe return safely from the front line. And it talks about her family and how they're predominantly women in this family, and how they're all sort of fighting their war in their own ways. But she also meets the socialite Lady Marigold Cecily, who seems keener on dancing at the Cafe of Paris than on ending the war. And there is some dynamics there, that your friendships and things that you'll find that become very, very interesting, and how inner prejudices take hold. Like, do we judge people on our first opinions? I think we certainly do. And I think that's just done really well. And Peggy's, there is a bit of romance, but it's very much underplayed. It's very much more about the women fighting for the war their own way, and about how all these ladies were doing it their way. And I think just a fantastic, fantastic book. Very good historical fiction book. Mum's going to love that. And I've got 2 5-stars. I'll leave it. The first of them is The Blue Sisters by Coco Mellors. I'm keeping this book. It is 101% a keepie, and it is one that it was my seasonal book, but one of my seasonal books for the month, and it's just done fantastically. It is a book that I read in virtually a day. I read a little bit and it is a shorter book, but it is one that will flip and destroy you in a million and gazillion pieces, because it does talk about sisters. It's 4 sisters, and right at the start you get told one of the sisters has died. So be aware that it does talk about grief a lot. Bear in mind, I'm one of 3 sisters, and there are certain aspects of this. All of the sisters are very, very different, and all of them are facing their own very unique, very different battles. This is 5 stars, by the way. This is my first of my 2 5-stars. A sister is not a friend. You're part of each other right from the start. And that's true, although I can't count both my sisters as my best friends. But the Blue Sisters have always been exceptional and exceptionally different. So you've got Avery, who is a straight-laced lawyer living in London, although she's keeping secrets that could undo her perfect life forever. Bonnie was a boxer turned bouncer in LA, but one reckless act has driven her out of the city. And then you've got Lucky, whose hard partying ways are finally catching up with her in Paris. And then there was Nikki, the beloved 4th sister, whose unexpected death a year ago left the others reeling. And they all basically, I think it's about halfway through the book, they end up reuniting, but we have the different chapters for all the three sisters that are alive, and you have their own ways that they're all tackling their own battles, but there is an underlying undercurrent that no matter how much you fight, that sister bond is incredible, and that sister bond is one that you cannot fight. And there's some saucy bits in there is some bits of battles, but it is a very, very hard-hitting book, but it's one that I really want to reread. It's 5 stars. It's an incredible book, and I just think that, yeah, it should have gone on the Women's Prize long list. It should have been. I just don't get why it wasn't, because it's just brilliant, and I think it needs to be shouted out more. But it isn't one Mum could read. That would break Mum into a million pieces. And then to the final book, and it's Heidi Swain's book, All Wrapped Up. And her books, she's always 5 stars for me, but is 5 star a very small bracket of a star rating, or could it be more? And that's another video I've done my ratings videos, but for me, she's an auto-buy author. She's an author that I love chatting to on Instagram. I do need to message her and say, this is my favourite book of hers for a very, very long time. And again, it does talk about grief. Very early on in this video, in this book, you find out that Clemmy Bennett, who's been renovating a beloved Rowan cottage on the outskirts of the small town of Wimbridge for 18 months, following a very heartbreaking loss in her heartbreak back in her hometown. She lost her husband there, and very early on, you find out that she's dealing with grief in her own way. But you also go back to Wimbridge, and Wimbridge is a place for a lot of Heidi Swain's book, and you meet characters that in the series that you have grown to love, that you have loved from the very start, and it sort of centres around you going into Cherry Tree Cafe again, and you meet and you go back and see Lizzie Dixon again, who's very much the heart of the cafe in Wimbridge, and you meet some other characters that you've met in other books, but you talk about that community. And there is a character, local vet Ash, who's a new character. And again, you can predict the romance, but it's done so slow build, and it talks about grief in such a very good way, and how grief isn't something that everyone has their own timeline for. It's not something that's a set trope. It's not something that everyone feels in their own way, as we all well know. And I think the fact that both my 5 stars have talked about grief in very different ways, I just think it's done brilliantly. But the romance is done brilliantly. The community aspect is done brilliantly. And this actually is probably one of my favourites for the year so far, because I connected with it. I started the month with it, and I find it's actually my first contemporary of the year almost. I've literally held a place in my heart, and I will 100% want to reread that. So yeah, I've read less. I think for me, partly I've obviously got books that have been incredible, and I've had slight book hangovers after reading the 2 of them, because I want to read books that are really jumping out at me, whereas books like The Housekeepers, I'm struggling with. If I'm not connecting with the books, am I skim reading? Does that count as reading? I just don't know. I know my head is in a very mixed place at the moment. Like I said, with spinal stuff, with my chronic pain, and pain in different joints and other things, and the fact that I'm still not sleeping is mean that I'm kind of in one of those headspaces where I take moments of joy, and I don't necessarily always. Also, I read so much in October that maybe I forced myself to read too much. If any of you do that, you get this thing where you've read so much that you don't want to pick up a book as much. I want to do other things, like I've cleared cupboards, I want to clear drawers of spaces, I want to clear my house, I want to start getting down to nitty gritty and not hiding in my books. I need to start living and doing other things now. Maybe that's another life lesson for myself. I can't always hide away in my books, although don't get me wrong, that is my way of dealing with it, and I think everyone's got to deal with stuff in their own way. But yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at. You'll see the standard library cost a picture at the end of the video. Actually, I'm not even going to do it. I'm going to tell you I've got 2 great books from the library. I'm not going to include the picture at the end, because the picture's for me. I got 2 great books. I got the latest Helena Bonham Young book, which I can't remember the life of me what it's called. You'll see it in the future videos. It's a contemporary by Helena Bonham Young, and it does talk about Alzheimer's. So it's a book that I'm really looking forward to reading. And I also got the book by Anna James, Alice. It's kind of like a follow-on from Alice in Wonderland. So I've got that book out from the library. And that Costa trip and the library trip was just what I needed this week. Obviously, I've had Thomas and the kids off for a few weeks, and It was so lovely to go to town. I sent Kat's birthday present off because it was Kat's birthday yesterday, or today, on the day that I'm filming this. But I went to the library, and it was brilliant to go to the library on my own, to have that time on my own. Then to go to Costa and I got so excited by picking which new Costa coffee I was looking forward to. I don't pay to support Costa, it's just, that's my like home from home. And I had a lovely coffee and I had a gorgeous muffin, and it was just, I left there feeling lighter and feeling happier. And I just did some self-care things, and I went for a walk with one of my best friends yesterday and kicked some leaves, and I just did what worked for me, and I did a bit of self-care. But yeah, that's what I've been doing this week. I've been doing a bit more self-care, a bit more doing things. I've made food that makes me happy. I felt like I'm clearing the house, I'm clearing up, and I'm getting myself ready for the winter months and settling down, because I will be home a lot more. In the winter I don't want to go out, but I will treat myself if I need to. So obviously I'm thinking actually just go with a dead easy one. If you got to the end of this video, in honour of the fact it was fireworks night this week, leave me a fireworks emoji. What have you been reading this week? What have you all been up to? Let me know in the comments down below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel, subscribe, ring on my ding-a-ling, and I'll see you all soon. Bye bye.